Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Punaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadidamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Namaste and welcome to the Spiritual Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Alexandra Savithri. I'm a Reiki master and Vedic healing priestess, and I've been practicing and teaching this work for more than 3 decades through the American Reiki Academy and the Vedic Healing Center. In this podcast, I share reflections and teachings on Reiki, mantras, meditation, and spiritual practice as lived paths for grounding, clarity, and inner change. Welcome to today's episode, and this episode I'm recording at the very end of the year, at that time between the holiday season and New Year's. So this episode is kind of a reflective episode, and it matches the energy of this time of the year. I would say there's something I've noticed over the years, and it's that the years never end with clarity. There's a certain feeling at the end of the year, and it's like we haven't quite resolved or tied up the loose ends from the past year, and we haven't quite stepped into the new year. So the old year is not ending usually with conclusions or neat little summaries that we can tie up or answers that suddenly arrive. Instead, it ends in silence. And this is the time between the winter solstice and the new year. This time has always felt very special to me. Actually, the light is low in the atmosphere. The body may be tired, maybe a little weary. The spirit may be weary from the year. And it's sort of like your mind wants to make sense of things, but often you can't. And in this episode, I want to talk about this time and talk about how this is not actually a problem when you want to make sense of things and you can't. So we live in a culture that tells us we should review, resolve, reinvent. But spiritually and energetically, I would say that's not how endings really work. Endings don't explain themselves. Instead, they dissolve. So what hasn't worked out this year doesn't need to be analyzed right now. I want to suggest this to anyone listening. Also, what hasn't come to fruition doesn't need to be judged in any way. And what still feels unfinished does not mean that you failed. It often just means it's not yet time. And I like to affirm this a lot because sometimes when Western teachers talk about manifestation, they become quite animated, which is fine. And we talk about stepping into the emotion of what we want to create. However, in the broader understanding of manifestation, whatever you're working on, there is the honoring of divine timing. And so there is no frenzy involved. There is no aggression. There is no pushing, no kind of hyper or hyped up feeling. It is just a gentle allowing. So in the deeper traditions, this time between the winter solstice and the new year is about listening, and it's about honoring this space that exists right now on the planet. And the energy right now is very interesting and palpable. It's a time when the work you're doing may go underground. It may also feel like clarity has not arrived yet, because I would like to suggest it is still gestating. It is still coming to fruition. So if you're feeling more quiet than usual, more inwardly focused, less interested in pushing forward, that may not be exhaustion or lack of motivation. Instead, I want to suggest to you, it may be wisdom. Because see, when we get extremely quiet and extremely tuned in to energies around us and within us, there is a presence that we tap into and we listen to. So at this time of the year, there's a kind of intelligence in letting the year complete without forcing anything to happen, without forcing conclusions or neat little summaries, without deciding what it says about you. It's like the silence at this time is not empty in any way. It is deep. It is beautiful. It's preparatory. It's preparing you for what is to come. And actually, whatever wants to come next in your life, in your work, in your spirit, does not need to be chased right now. And actually, it never needs to be chased. But what I mean is there should not be any kind of pressure that you put upon yourself to move forward. Instead, just understand that everything you need, everything you're working on, everything you're trying to create, everything you're trying to manifest, everything you're trying to attract will surface in its own time. And that's why I like to talk about divine timing. See, divine timing, I think, is something that is greatly overlooked in the Western teachings on manifestation. Not everyone overlooks it, but I don't often hear people talking about divine timing, divine wisdom. We're always co-creating with this other energy that exists, this divine, this all-pervading, this all-knowing God force energy. We are little sparks made in the image and likeness of this grand energy, and we are always co-creating with it. And that means we are giving up all force. Instead, we're flowing. We're flowing like we are moving on a river, and we are accepting the movement of the river, knowing that what is meant for us is on its way, that we are doing whatever we can in every moment with the best of our knowledge. And the thing is, when we start to know more, we start to manifest differently. But right now, you, we, I, we're all manifesting to the best of our abilities. And as we start to gain more knowledge, we begin to manifest things that we feel are really quite miraculous in our lives. So every day is kind of like an experiment in how much you can learn, but without force, with an awareness of this divine timing. It's like you're in school. You're in school every single day, and you are learning, you are observing, you are watching all the interactions you are having, all the relationships, all the problems that come up in your life, the obstacles. You're also watching how you react to these problems and these obstacles, how you interact with them, how you interact with others, how you interact with yourself. And when you start to really release a hold on everything, you start to let go and let that current flow. You're on that river and you're allowing the current to flow, and you're moving in accordance with divine timing, and you're doing the best you can with the knowledge that you have in that moment, and you're being easy and relaxed with the journey, with yourself, with others around you. Then life becomes quite lovely, quite beautiful, no matter what is happening. And I always bring everything back, for those of you who know me, to your spiritual practice, because when you deepen your spiritual practice, whether it's through Reiki, meditation, chanting, prayer, self-growth work, inner seeking, when you establish that practice, it allows you to move through this journey on the river with such ease and grace. And life becomes, again, such a beautiful experience. But in particular, at this time of the year, remember that whatever wants to come next in your life is coming. It is going to surface in its own time. As you move down the river, you will encounter it. It will be evident to you. It will meet you on that river. So for now, I would say it's enough to rest in the pause. It's like a pausing of energies on the planet, a slowing down, a stillness. It's as if the water on that river that you're on has the current has slowed, and you're just drifting along. So we let the year end the way it actually ends. Maybe not with answers about what has occurred, but with quiet. And in our spiritual practice, we always return to the stillness, to the quiet. I have said this many times. I was instructed by my guru, my personal guru, and also I heard Sri Satya Sai Baba say this, and many other teachers speak about the potency of the silence. So too often we're focused on techniques. So let's say you're doing, I'll make the analogy with each of these modalities. Let's say you're doing Reiki and you're focused on, especially when you first learn it, you're focused on the hand positions and you're thinking, oh, okay, I have to put my hands here, and then the next position is here, and then what's the next position she taught me? And so your intellect is involved, and you're not yet feeling the stillness, the presence of the energy. And that comes in the letting go and the doing of the practice. So with regard to this same analogy in meditation, many times you're sitting down to meditate and you're saying, oh, okay, today I'm going to do that meditation that I was taught where I focus on my third eye. And you're focusing on the third eye, you're focusing on the third eye, you're focusing on the third eye, and soon you realize your attention is on the focusing of you focusing on the third eye. Your attention isn't actually on the stillness in the third eye. With chanting, you chant. And when we chant, we are aware of the mantra, the pronunciation, the history, the use, the rhythm of the mantra. And so we're chanting the mantra, and yet suddenly we realize that we haven't really connected with the mantra as deeply as we can. And this connection happens in the stillness of the mantra. So there's the audible chanting of the mantra. It can be any mantra. And then there is the stillness that follows. And there are different levels of chanting as well. There's chanting out loud, different levels I won't go into here. But as I said, my guru and also Sri Satya Sai Baba, and I've heard other teachers say this, and I know it to be true, that the potency exists after the practice. And I don't mean after the practice like an hour later, although it does carry forth, of course, into your day. You take the yoga off the mat and you carry it with you. I mean, in the stillness directly after. So, for instance, you're chanting the mantra, you're chanting, 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 and then there is this deep grace that you can feel in the air. This happens with Reiki. It happens with meditation. So this is the energy that we want to tap into. And this energy is so palpable, and it is so potent, and it is where the power of these modalities lies. So why am I talking about this right now? I actually went a little bit on a tangent, as I do, but the tangent is always related to the topic. And the reason I thought of this is at this time of the year, it's like we're resting in the stillness of the energy that was created during the year. So many, many things happened this year to you. Maybe many great things, and maybe many challenging things. And right now we're resting in that stillness after the year. And this is where the power of the year lies. Not in intellectually making sense of it or coming to conclusions, but in feeling the presence of this year and all that it entailed. And knowing that in that presence is wisdom. If you can be still enough to absorb it, to feel it, to listen to it. Many times I use the word listen, and in the healing arts, we have our five senses, and then in the healing arts, we have our five extrasensory perceptions. So one of them is clairaudience, where you listen. But listening can also mean feeling, seeing, sensing, knowing. So when I say listen, I just mean becoming aware. It may not be an audible phrase that you hear. It's just an awareness, a receiving, a tuning in. So as this year ends, allow it to end, maybe not with answers, but with pure quiet, with stillness. And know that that stillness and tuning into it is going to propel you into the next year with all the wisdom, all the incredible energy, lessons, guidance that you received during this year. And so I hope this resonated with you. I'll be here as the new year unfolds. Until then, let the quiet do its work. I also want to say, do not be afraid of the quiet, of the silence, of the stillness. There is power. There is beauty. There are available energies in this stillness that sometimes cannot be put into words. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Om Sai Ram. Jai Guruji. Om Amrite Shwariye Namaha. Hare Krishna. Om Namah Shivaya.